Namaskar and welcome to Nationwide. We bring you updates from different parts of the country backed by the country's widest news network. Let's begin with the headlines. All set for tomorrow's vote counting for 542 Lok Sabha seats and assembly elections in 4 states. The EC sets up a 24-hour EVM control room at its headquarters and assures that all the polled EVMs are absolutely safe. Union Home Ministry issues an alert ahead of the counting day, alerts the state chief secretaries and the DGPs regarding the possibility of eruption of violence in different parts of the country and asks them to maintain law and order, peace and public tranquility. In Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists killed in an encounter with security forces in Kulgaum District. Arms and ammunition recovered from the site. Indian Space Research Organisation successfully launches radar imaging satellite RISAT-2B from Sri Harikota. The ISRO Chairman P Sivan says that this launch PSLV has crossed now the landmark of launching 50 tons of space to space, comprising 353 satellites. News from the north of the country. After an almost 3-month-long process of polling, well, the big day is finally going to come. It's coming tomorrow, when the counting of votes will be taken up for the Lok Sabha polls 2019. It begins at 8 a.m., the counting at different counting centers across the country, and the fate of over 8,000 candidates for 542 parliamentary seats which went to the polls will be decided. However, the final results are expected only late by the evening because of the tallying of the voter-verified paper audit trail slips with the EVM count for the first time. 67.11% of the 90.99 crore electors or voters had cast their vote in the 7-phase elections. The Election Commission has set up a total of 1,140 counting centers across the country. It's the highest ever voter turnout in Indian parliamentary elections, and this is for the first time in a Lok Sabha election that the results of voting machines will be matched with VVPATs. That's the slips generated by the paper trail machines. So the exercise will take place in 5 polling stations per assembly segment. This is for the counting of VVPATs, which effectively means that out of an estimated 10.3 lakh polling stations, the EVM VVPAT matching will take place in about 20,600 such stations, and out of the 542 Lok Sabha seats, elections 543 there are, but only elections were held for 542 constituencies, as the EC had cancelled the polls to the Vellore constituency on the grounds of excessive use of money power. The poll panel is yet to announce a fresh date for elections to Vellore. And certain complaints of alleged movement of EVMs purportedly to replace the polled EVMs in the strong rooms have been doing the rounds in a section of the media. In fact, they continue even today. But the Election Commission has emphatically and unambiguously clarified that all such reports and allegations are absolutely false and factually incorrect. Here's a report.
Ever since exit polls predicted the return of the Modi-led NDA government, opposition parties have increased the tone and tenor of their charges, alleging more EVM fraud. Opposition party leaders raised their concern of alleged replacement of EVMs from strong rooms with the poll body. The Election Commission has termed the allegations as unfounded. The Commission said in a statement that such reports and allegations are baseless, in particular the allegations regarding Ghazipur, Chandoli, Dumriaganj and Jhansi parliamentary constituencies. The Commission clarified some areas of concern. After the close of polls, all polled EVMs and VVPATs are brought under security cover to the designated strong rooms. The designated strong rooms are sealed with double locks, in the presence of the candidates and in the presence of observers of the Election Commission. The entire process of storage and sealing of the strong room is covered under videography. Continuous CCTV coverage is done till completion of counting. Each strong room is guarded with round-the-clock security by Central Armed Police Forces. Candidates or their designated agents remain present in the strong room for 24/7 vigil at all times. On counting day, the strong rooms are open in the presence of the candidates or agents and observers under videography. Before the counting of EVMs commences, counting agents are shown the addresses, seals and serial numbers of the EVMs to satisfy themselves to the genuineness and authenticity of the machines used in the actual polls.
प्रशासन का यह पूरा प्रयास है कि प्रत्येक प्रत्याशी 3 वैंटेज पॉइंट पर एक व्यक्ति ज़रूर तैनात करें और स्ट्रांग रूम पे जो व्यवस्था है उसको ज़रूर निगरानी रखें। हमारा पूरा प्रयास है कि चुनाव पारदर्शिता से हो और कोई भी ऐसी छेड़छाड़ या ऐसी कोई बातों का कोई मौका ही ना दिया जाए।
सीएपीएफ की आर्म्ड गार्ड उपस्थित है, जनरल ऑब्जर्वर यहाँ पे उपस्थित है, तो सारे लोगों के देखा देखी में ये हो रहा है। दिन में लाया जा रहा है इसीलिए ईवीएम को कि किसी को कोई शक ना हो। इवन यहाँ पे कैंडिडेट्स को भी बताया गया कि वो रिजर्व की ईवीएम वहाँ रखी हुई है, हम लोग वहाँ से लाएंगे। यहाँ पे हम लोगों ने रख दिया है, अभी इसको सील करेंगे और यहाँ पे भी आर्म्ड गार्ड की ड्यूटी लगेगी।
The electoral process has already been made more robust after the EC installed VVPAT machines along with EVMs in all polling booths. Voters can identify whether their votes are being cast for the right candidate. 5 VVPATs from each assembly constituency will be randomly matched with the corresponding EVM. The matching will ensure the complete transparency of the entire electoral process. DD News.
And the Ministry of Home Affairs has alerted the state chief secretaries and the directors general of police regarding the possibility of eruption of violence in different parts of the country in connection with the counting of votes tomorrow. The MHA has asked the states as well as the union territories to maintain law and order, peace and public tranquility. States and union territories have been further asked to take adequate measures for the security of strong rooms and venues of counting of votes. This is in the wake of calls given by and statements also made in various quarters for inciting violence and causing disruption on the day of counting of votes. The Election Commission is meeting in New Delhi. They are addressing concerns raised by leaders of over 20 opposition parties who met the poll panel on Tuesday to voice their concerns over the electronic voting machines and the use of VVPATs. They had demanded tallying of VVPAT slips with the EVM figures in an entire assembly constituency in case discrepancy is found in any polling booth. And the BJP today lashed out at the opposition for raising doubts about the efficacy of the electronic voting machines. The BJP leader Syed Shahnawaz Hussain has said that the EVM becoming good for them when they win the election. The EVM becomes good for them when they win the election, but it's bad for them when they lose the elections.
विपक्ष के लोगों को अच्छी तरह मालूम है कि देश में मोदी वेव है और जिस तरह से उन्होंने प्रचार मोदी जी के खिलाफ किया, इसका जवाब देश की जनता ने दिया है। वो अपने में कमियां नहीं तलाश रहे, वो सारी कमियां ईवीएम में तलाश रहे।
And while the Union Minister and senior BJP leader JP Nadda slammed the opposition for raising doubts over the EVMs, he also accused the opposition of dishonoring and disrespecting the people's mandate.
राहुल गांधी और उनका पूरा कुनबा इस बात से आश्वस्त हो चुका है कि हार निश्चित है और हार दिख रही है, और हार दिख रही है तो इसका ठिकरा किस पर फोड़ा जाए, ये राहुल गांधी की योजना अनुसार किया जा रहा है और इसमें विपक्ष की पार्टियां मिली हैं। यही ईवीएम कर्नाटक में ठीक है, यही ईवीएम राजस्थान में ठीक है, यही ईवीएम मध्य प्रदेश में ठीक है, यही ईवीएम पंजाब में ठीक है, यही ईवीएम छत्तीसगढ़ में ठीक है। और जब मध्य प्रदेश के उस समय मुख्यमंत्री नहीं बने थे कमलनाथ, इलेक्शन कमीशन के सामने जाते हैं और कहते हैं कि ईवीएम पर मुझे शक है, और जब नतीजे उनके पक्ष में आते हैं, कुछ एमएलएस की संख्या बढ़ती है, तो कहते हैं नहीं मुझे ईवीएम पर पूरा भरोसा है। ये डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स ये बताता है कि इनको जनता की उंगली पर विश्वास नहीं है। भारत की जनता जिसने अपनी उंगली से वोट दिया है उसका ये घनघोर अपमान है।
And the Indian Air Force today successfully fired the BrahMos air version missile from its frontline Su-30 MKI fighter aircraft. The launch from the aircraft was smooth and the missile followed the desired trajectory before directly hitting the land target. The air-launched BrahMos missile is a 2.5-ton supersonic air-to-surface cruise missile with ranges of close to 300 kilometers. The Indian Air Force became the first air force in the world to have successfully fired an air-launched 2.8 Mach surface-to-attack missile for the category on the sea target on the 22nd of November 2017. Today's was the second such live launch of the weapon. The Delhi government today told the National Green Tribunal that no encroachment shall be followed on forest land in the southern ridge. So the Forest Department told a bench that fencing work on the land is going on and shall be completed soon. The tribunal has summoned the district magistrate, the Tahsildar and the Patwari of the area concerned to appear in person and to explain the queries in the matter. The NGT has also now posted the matter for hearing on June 26. Earlier, the Green Panel had rapped the Delhi government over the improper depiction of encroachments on forest land in the southern ridge and in fact sought a proper map giving complete detail. The NGT has summoned the Principal Chief Conservator of Forests and the AAP government's Revenue Secretary to inform it about the reasons for the delay in demarcation of forest land in the southern ridge in Delhi. President Ram Nath Kovind has appointed 4 judges to the Supreme Court of India. The 4 judges are Justice B.R. Gawai, Justice Surya Kant, Justice Aniruddha Bose and Justice A.S. Bopanna. In Jammu and Kashmir, 2 terrorists were killed in an encounter with security forces in Kulgaum District of the state, and acting on a credible piece of information about the presence of ultras in Gopalpora area, this is in Kulgaum, the security forces launched a cordon and search operation there. In the ensuing gun battle, the 2 terrorists were killed and the bodies retrieved from the site of the encounter.
Were neutralized in the ensuing gun battle. The terrorists have been identified. One of them is Zahid Mantu of Feripura, Shopia, and the second is Irfan Ahmed Bhatt of Poneba, Kulgaum. Both belong to the Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist organization, and a huge quantity of arms, ammunition and explosives were recovered from the bodies of these terrorists.
The Border Security Force investiture ceremony and the Rustomji Memorial Lecture 2019 were organized at the Vigyan Bhavan today. On the occasion, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval presented bravery awards to the BSF officials for their outstanding work. Addressing the gathering, Ajit Doval said that modernization of the BSF will prove to be highly beneficial in dealing with challenges that the future holds.
आने वाले समय की सुरक्षा चुनौतियां और भी अधिक गंभीर हो सकती हैं। मुझे बहुत खुशी है इस बात की कि पिछले कुछ समय से टेक्नोलॉजी की ओर अधिक ध्यान दिया जा रहा है, मॉडर्न गैजेट्स और उसका अधिक प्रयोग किया जा रहा है, क्योंकि आने वाले समय में शायद इसकी बहुत अधिक आवश्यकता होगी और नेशनल सिक्योरिटी के लिए ये आवश्यक होता है कि हमारे लिए हर रोज़ एक नया चैलेंज का दिन होता है। हमें अपने आप को रीइन्वेंट करना पड़ता है और हमें अपने आप को कल वाली लड़ाई के लिए तैयार नहीं करना पड़ता, बल्कि कल आने वाली लड़ाई के लिए तैयार करना पड़ता है।
The BSF Director General Rajnikant Mishra has hailed the role played by the security force in providing assistance in not just guarding our borders but also in dealing with terrorism and Naxalism in the country.
सीमाओं की निगरानी से शुरुआत कर आज हम व्यापक सीमा प्रबंधन की तरफ बढ़ चले हैं। साथ ही आंतरिक सुरक्षा ड्यूटियों में लगे सीमा प्रहरी आतंकवाद एवं नक्सलवाद विरोधी अभियानों में भी सक्रिय योगदान दे रहे हैं। सीमा प्रहरी राष्ट्र रक्षा के साथ साथ राष्ट्र निर्माण में भी समान रूप से सक्रिय हैं। सीमावर्ती और तैनाती वाले क्षेत्रों में सिविक एक्शन प्रोग्राम द्वारा चिकित्सा, शिक्षा, खेल और कौशल विकास जैसे कार्यक्रम चलाकर सीमा प्रहरियों ने अपनी सहभागिता सिद्ध की है।
News now from the south of the country. The Indian Space Research Organization ISRO has scripted history by successfully launching the Earth observation satellite RISAT-2B. that would enhance the country's surveillance capabilities, among other things. The launch marked a major addition to a vital fleet of Indian all-seeing radar imaging satellites after a gap of 7 years. Here's a report.
As the 25-hour countdown, which began on Tuesday, concluded, ISRO's workhorse, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, PSLV C-46, blasted off at 5:30 a.m. from the first launch pad of the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sri Harikota on its 48th mission, carrying the 615 kg satellite. The RISAT-2B, or the Radar Imaging Satellite 2B, was released into the orbit around 15 minutes after the liftoff. It would replace the RISAT-2, which was successfully launched in 2009. ISRO Chairman P Sivan said RISAT-2B, with a lifespan of 5 years, will be used for agriculture, forestry and disaster management support.
Particular mission for PSLV is a very, very important mission in the sense, with this satellite launch, PSLV has crossed a landmark of lofting 50 tons to space. In addition to the RISAT-2B payload, main payload, this carries two important piggyback payload. That is, number one, indigenously developed, realized by the Vikram processor, realized by semiconductor lab. First time is flown as a piggyback mode for NGC system. Second piggyback payload is the low-cost MEMS-based INS. It is going to revolutionize our the future launch vehicle missions.
The ISRO chairman also said that after RISAT-2B, ISRO would turn to Chandrayaan-2, which is scheduled for launch between July 9th and 16th this year. He added that ISRO is expecting landing the rover of Chandrayaan-2 on lunar surface by September 6th.
Definitely, the next mission is going to be landmark mission for India. That is, Chandrayaan-2 mission is going to take place between July 9th and 16th of this year. After launching the satellite, we are expecting the landing on the moon on September 6th. This is the first mission we are going to plan.
ISRO will also be launching another radar imaging satellite, RISAT-2BR1, and two more defense satellites sometime in July or August this year with its new rocket small satellite launch vehicle. With Bureau Inputs, Philip Matthews report, DD News.
And now let's shift focus to the western parts of the country. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, has proposed reducing of the overall time taken for the rights issue to around 31 days, as well as to make the application and allotment process more efficient. Currently, the rights issue process takes about 55 to 58 days for a time the company decides. This is from the time the company decides to launch the issue till the listing. There is a need to reduce this the timelines, because both in the pre-issue opening phase as well as in the issue closure, such that the issuer and the shareholders, they benefit from the process and the efficiencies. This is what SEBI has said. So this watchdog has in fact proposed reduction in the period of notice for the companies to set a record date. This is from 7 to 3 working days. And the Committee of Administrators of the BCCI has announced that the much-awaited elections to the BCCI will be held in October of this year. October 22 is the date. The BCCI announced the election date after due consultation with the Supreme Court appointed amicus curiae, P.S. Narasimha. The COA was appointed by the Supreme Court in January of 2017 to oversee sweeping reforms recommended by the Lodha panel. News from the east of the country now. Fourteen Indian women boxers, including MC Mary Kom, stormed into the semi-finals of the second India Open International Boxing Tournament in Guwahati. Mary Kom defeated Mala Rai from Nepal without giving her any scope to fight. And she will now face compatriot Nikhat Zareen in the much anticipated semi-final match in the 51 kg category. In the men's category, Ankit defeated his Filipino opponent. But in the men's 64 kg category, Ashish lost to his Mauritius opponent. In the 69 kg category, Dinesh Dagar and Pawan Kumar stormed into the quarterfinal round. In the 75 kg category, Manjeet Pangal stormed into the quarterfinal as his opposition did not turn up to play. And we are now joined by our correspondent Sudhakar Das, who has more inputs on the Home Ministry's alert to different states and union territories in the wake of fears that there may be some sort of altercations tomorrow, some sort of violence in the wake of the counting. Sudhakar, fill us in with the finer points of this alert.
जी मार्क, मैं आपको गृह मंत्रालय के अलर्ट के बारे में पहले बता दूं। गृह मंत्रालय ने राज्यों को ये ज़रूर कहा है कि जो काउंटिंग हो रही है, काउंटिंग के मद्देनज़र जो स्ट्रांग रूम्स हैं उसकी सुरक्षा किए जाने की ज़रूरत है। और इसके साथ ही साथ कई राज्यों में हिंसा की आशंका है, तो DGPs और चीफ सेक्रेटरी जो है जो सुरक्षा और शांति व्यवस्था बनाने के पूर्ण इंतज़ाम करें। तो इसके बारे में राज्यों को एडवाइजरी भेजी गई है। लेकिन एक और जो बड़ी खबर आ रही है, इंफॉर्मेशन एंड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग मिनिस्ट्री की तरफ से भी मार्क आई है, राज्यों को एडवाइजरी भेजी गई है। उसके बारे में भी मैं आपको जानकारी देना चाहूँगा। INB मिनिस्ट्री ने ये एडवाइजरी चैनल्स को लेकर भेजी है और ख़ास तौर से ये एडवाइजरी निश्चित तौर पर कुछ उनका ऑब्जर्वेशन होगा, उसके बाद ये एडवाइजरी भेजी गई है। और ये एक तरह से एम्फेसिस किया गया है, फिर से स्पष्ट किया गया है कि नॉन न्यूज़ एंड करंट अफेयर्स चैनल्स की किस तरह की कैटेगरी होगी और जो न्यूज़ एंड करंट अफेयर्स चैनल्स की किस तरह की कैटेगरी होगी। और ये तमाम जो प्राइवेट चैनल्स हैं, जिसमें न्यूज़ चैनल्स भी हैं, एंटरटेनमेंट चैनल्स भी हैं, उनको कहा गया है। और जो पॉलिसी गाइडलाइंस फॉर अपलिंकिंग ऑफ टेलीविज़न चैनल्स, उसके रूल्स के मुताबिक ये एडवाइजरी जारी की गई है। और इसमें एक बार फिर से एम्फेसिस किया गया है कि जो नॉन न्यूज़ एंड करंट अफेयर्स चैनल्स वो किस तरह के चैनल्स होंगे। और उसके लिए कहा गया है कि नॉन न्यूज़ एंड करंट अफेयर्स TV चैनल्स मीन्स चैनल विच डज नॉट हैव एनी एलिमेंट ऑफ न्यूज़ एंड करंट अफेयर्स इन इट्स प्रोग्रामिंग। तो जो इंटरटेनमेंट चैनल मोस्टली अगर आप कहें सीधी सामान्य भाषा में, तो उनके प्रोग्रामिंग में न्यूज़ का किसी तरह का कंटेंट नहीं होना चाहिए, ये एम्फेसिस किया गया है, इस पर जोर दिया गया है इस एडवाइजरी में। इसके अलावा जो न्यूज़ और करंट अफेयर्स चैनल्स हैं उनका कंटेंट सिर्फ न्यूज़ और करंट अफेयर्स रिलेटेड होना चाहिए। तो ये चूँकि कल चुनावी नतीजे भी आ रहे हैं और हाल के समय में कई इस तरह की सूचनाएं भी INB मिनिस्ट्री को मिली थी, उसके बाद ये एडवाइजरी सूचना और प्रसारण मंत्रालय की तरफ से सभी तरह के जो देश में चैनल्स हैं उन तमाम चैनल्स को भेजी गई है।
Right, but Sudhakar, this is in. I mean, is there a time period involved for this for this news, for this information, or is this now the guidelines for the future?
देखिए मार्क, ये गाइडलाइंस पहले से भी है, लेकिन निश्चित तौर पर कुछ ऐसी सूचनाएं INB मिनिस्ट्री को मिली हैं, उसके बाद इस तरह की एडवाइजरी एक बार फिर से जारी की गई है। और निश्चित तौर पर ये एडवाइजरी इसलिए भी जारी की गई है कि इस एडवाइजरी के बाद भी अगर कोई चैनल, चाहे एंटरटेनमेंट चैनल हो या न्यूज़ चैनल्स हो, इस एडवाइजरी का उल्लंघन करता है तो उनसे मंत्रालय पूछ सकता है कि इस तरह की एडवाइजरी के बावजूद भी क्यों उल्लंघन किया गया। और कानून के मुताबिक ये अधिकार सूचना और प्रसारण मंत्रालय के पास होता है कि इस तरह के जो कानूनों का, नियमों का उल्लंघन करने वाले चैनल हैं उनके खिलाफ किसी तरह की कार्रवाई की जा सके। फिलहाल एक तरह से सचेत किया गया है तमाम चैनल्स को, अगर न्यूज़ चैनल्स हैं तो वो न्यूज़ दिखाएं, एंटरटेनमेंट चैनल्स हैं तो एंटरटेनमेंट का कंटेंट ही रखें अपने चैनल्स पे, एक तरह से एक दूसरे के क्षेत्र में दखल ना दें।
Right, Sudhakar, thanks very much for those inputs, and that's all we have for you in Nationwide today. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.